Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I am your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. And yes, today we are in studio, so we are with the Cannonball King himself, Mr. Spider.
What's good?
How you doing? How you doing? Uh-oh. There we go.
Man.
You just thought about jumping in today, right?
Yeah, I'm having misfires all over the place, apparently.
You're worried about the cold weather that we had out here in Texas and whether you jump into that cold water.
I like to sleep in the cold. I don't know if I'd like to swim in the cold.
Yeah. I think as you get older, the water just needs to get hotter and hotter and hotter to be able to swim, Spider. So, hey, everybody, I want to welcome you. Today we are talking to Shay Parker and Robbie Walker with Solenis, and we're doing a deep dive an educational podcast on Cal Hypo. Really kind of excited about that. And I want to welcome everybody to our live podcast, the podcast where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started today, we want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray Excel, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, Poolside Tech, and Pool Brain. We want to thank them for their continued support. Mr. Zacharias, how you doing?
I don't think we have enough time today to get into how I'm doing.
Not after that call I got from you this morning.
I know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. The sun's been kind of peeking out lately. The temperatures have been nice. I don't know, but I'm firing on all cylinders for this week at least. So we've got a lot of really cool things going on. I'm really excited. We're working on a little bit of a rebrand. I don't want to share too much on it, but
I can share.
You could share because I just gave you the full story. But again, we don't have enough time to get into all that. But yeah, no, things are going really good. We're rocking and rolling. Started picking up a lot as far as repairs, and calls are starting to come in. So we're definitely in that transition into summer.
Oh yeah, we're there. I mean, we're end of February. Today the last day? Today the 28th? Yeah, today's the last day. So March tomorrow, baby. Mr. JJ, how are you?
Okay, I'm actually doing a little better today.
There's the lighting that I'm talking about, Robbie. Right?
Absolutely outstanding.
See?
It's glowing.
There you go.
Right.
You glow now, baby.
Is that what it is?
But you do have that filter on. He's got that filter on his face part right there going on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Take 25 years away.
Is that the glamorous filter?
Is it? I don't know. It's a little scary that you know, though.
A wrinkle away. John came to me one day and said, "Hey, can we create a filter for me?" And
Yeah.
so he wanted his own filter.
The
flawless filter.
Yeah, the flawless
I want to
filter.
tone down the meanness or whatever everybody's saying. That I look upset or I look angry all the time. So I'm trying to soften my look a little bit.
There was a thing, right?
Yeah.
Grumpy Bear, wasn't that a thing for
Grumpy
a while?
Bear, yeah. Grumpy Bear. They even made me T-shirts.
Oh, so how you
No,
doing?
but look, hey, I'm doing good. Actually, I'm doing a lot better. I am not as peppy as Zach, though. You know, I'm not firing on all cylinders. I'm up to like 1 out of 12 cylinders, maybe. But the last couple days for me was rough, and we were joking around, having a conversation, and I don't know what it was, but today I woke up feeling much better though. So I'm ready to rock and roll. Actually, very looking forward to the podcast here. I think, education is key, and the more we talk about different options and different products out there for our pool techs to use, just arms them with more, more ability to be able to take care of their clients in the backyard, because it's unfortunately the cookie cutter approach that a lot of us seem to think is the way to go isn't necessarily the best for the pool or for the customer. So I'm a little upset that I wasn't there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it out to Texas this time around. But next time, if you guys do make it out, I want to make sure that I'm out there in studio with you guys. But I heard you had a lot of good fun. I'm excited to hear about your guys' story and about Solenis in general and what you guys do for the industry. There's some big companies out there that a lot of pool techs don't necessarily know. When there's like the bigger company that creates other things and other products, and they don't really have a good view or an understanding of the important role that you guys play in our industry, along with some other large manufacturers as well. But they're familiar with the products that you guys do produce. So I think this is going to be a great podcast, and looking forward to getting it started.
Thank you. Same.
Absolutely. Mr. Robbie, how you doing?
Not too bad, sir.
Not too bad.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for coming out.
Yes. As John said, yesterday was great. We can't wait for that to get listed and on your Poolman University. We hope that a lot of people can take it and run with it and get a lot of education out of it from yesterday.
Awesome. It was a great time. Other than the tripod kind of doing the leaning thing that it decided to do.
If there's not something that we have to tweak or work with, it's just not normal.
Right. Yeah. So
technical difficulties, but we got her done.
You got her done, right? So how are you doing, Shay?
Excellent.
Good morning.
Couldn't be better.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. The weather's beautiful.
It has been. It was really nice yesterday.
Yeah.
So we got spoiled a little bit. So of course we had 3 or 4 days out here that it was in the teens. It was miserable.
Yeah, what did you say, a week ago in 11 to 12 and then 72 yesterday?
Yeah. I didn't even put the trash cans out, John. It was so cold. I'm like, I'm not going outside. So anyways. All right, guys, let's get through a couple of our housekeeping notes here really quick. I am going to talk about the Heritage Boot Camp that we're going to be doing March 27th and 28th over in McKinney, Texas, which is out here in the Dallas area. And day one is going to be hands-on pumps, filters, automation, wiring the pads. It's all hands-on for the pool pros. And we're not talking about one heater in the middle of the room and 50 people around it. It's literally every pool pro is going to be cutting wires, stripping wires, running it through conduit, learning about high voltage, low voltage programming, heater repairs, heater troubleshooting. So we're looking forward to that. And then we have 2 tracks that we're going to be doing the next day, which is for the business side. We're going to be doing business efficiency, masters of operational efficiencies for success. We're going to be talking about coaching for performance, understanding financials, business metrics, and your cost of service, and then driving results through accountability. And for the technical side, we're going to be having elevating pool care, comprehensive responsibilities of a pool pro, ozone systems. We're going to be talking about the blueprint for balanced water, mastering algae, prevention in pools, electrical safety in pools, bonding and grounding, and then Mr. Flawless. What are we doing, baby? Right here. We went out yesterday only with Robbie, because Robbie is being my security guard for this. But we pulled out
That's fun.
$10,000 right there, baby. That's what you get if you win the Pool Pro Championship.
If that's $10,000, then there's a lot of single dollar bills.
It's all dollar bills.
Trust me.
That's all real money.
Look at that, John, right there.
That's a lot of 10,000. I think we need to do our math,
John,
over again.
See, that's the problem with John. That's a problem with John right there. It's like we do something and he just has to call it out and be like, that's not how that works. You're doing wrong.
Well, John's apparently seen $10,000 in cash a lot.
Yeah, right.
And that's how he gets paid.
Oops.
It's freshly printed this morning.
Yeah, we printed it this morning at Kinko's, right? That's where we went.
One of those.
Out at Kinko's.
All we're doing is we're showing. Look, we're putting the stake down. We're saying, hey, look, we're going to be doing this for many, many years, right?
Yep.
And there's $10,000 worth of prizes for the next 10 years.
So I do have to say, I was joking around with my kids and showing them. And so, what do you think my kids did when they saw that stack? Yep, they were like, "Can I have some?" And then I pulled some out and I gave it to my daughter, and she's like, "Oh," all excited, and my wife is like, you know what you're doing, right? And so she like looked at it and she's like, oh, there you go, Dad. I think I popped her bubble really quick.
I'm sure. My wife would be like, kids, he's not going to hand it that easy. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So we are doing the Pool Nation $10,000 Pool Pro Challenge, and really what it is, and John got mad at me. He was just like, dude, you gotta like have to explain what it is that we're doing, because he teases me that I'm all over the board, right? But what it is basically it's a competition designed really to showcase the skills of the pool pros, and it's for the repair techs. And what we're going to be doing is a series of hands-on challenges, troubleshooting, repairing, installing pool equipment. We're going to have different qualifiers. So at the Heritage Boot Camp, we're going to have one of the qualifiers. The week after that, we go to Oxnard. We're going to have the second qualifier right there. And we kind of have a leaderboard that we're putting together. So what we want to do is all the pool pros that register. So we are going to have a yearly leaderboard on there. So they'll be able to see what they rank within, the world, because we have people. And there is, check it out, John, Zach, I don't know if you guys had seen it or not, but there's kind of so far the leaderboard that we have going on. And look at that. There you go. So we're playing with that. We're kind of tweaking it out, but the top 5 will always appear up at the top. So what will happen at the qualifiers is obviously we'll have the judges time them. We will have them obviously score them. And then what we'll do is we'll plug them into our system that we created, and the system will automatically know who ranks what. And the top 5 will appear up at the top and then be ranked within all of those other ones. So we're excited about that. So we're going to do some qualifiers out in McKinney, out in Oxnard, and then we are going to move up to Las Vegas, October 22nd. And what's going to happen there is the people that have gone through the qualifiers, they don't have to go through that round up in Vegas. That means that they'll already have done that. So kind of like a little championship. They're rested, right? They're rested for the next couple rounds.
As the number 1 seed.
Yeah, exactly. As the number 1 seed, you can rest, and you can do that. And we're going to have the final championship. So we'll have the final 3 for the final championship. And so what they're going to have is a little bit of a mystery challenge. So they won't be able to know until we get there. And then we will have 2-3 full-blown pads out on the floor. And then what we're going to do is throw them a little curveball, and they're going to have to do some programming, some repairs, some troubleshooting. And then what will happen is we will get the winner from there. The one thing that we started talking about, John, is that you have to read the manuals from the manufacturers, because that's what we're going to use in order to be able to score. So like John was saying yesterday on Wednesday, hey, we know there's a lot of pool pros that go, hey, I prefer it to do it this way, or I prefer to do it that way. But we have to have a set of rules, right? And so that is that you have to go and use that manual to be able to do that. So, Robbie, you were explaining one perfectly yesterday, which is it could be that they're playing with the heater, and step number 1 is turn off the gas. And if you don't turn off the gas, you're going to lose points, right? So you really kind of have to go through that manual to be able to do that. So we're excited about that. April 4th and 5th, we are going to the Raypack Boot Camp, and we are going to be doing the hands-on training out there. The cool thing about that one is they have a hot room. So they actually have heaters that are connected to water and gas, and they fire up. But on this one, they're connecting some of the pumps and some of the automations to those systems to be able to kind of take the education up a notch. So we'll have heaters, pumps, automation out there, and then we will be doing a round of qualifiers. And then on that one, we're going to do on Saturday just business courses. There won't be any technical courses, but we'll have operational efficiencies. We will have ensuring financial security, unlocking profit and growth, and then profit strategies growth through customer-centric approaches. So anyways, anybody that wants to register, go to poolnation.com, go to the boot camp button. Can't speak. Go to the boot camp button, right? Click on it, and you can go to either boot camp, register through there. I will tell you this, McKinney is just a little bit more than half full already. So if you are going to go out there, make sure that you register within the next week or two, because I promise you it's going to be sold out like we usually are. So go out there and register, and then, hey, $10,000, baby. So.
Look, I just wanted to jump in a little bit and talk just a little bit more about it. We're constantly trying to figure out, do different things to give back to our community, and there's no secret, behind what our purpose in life is. With Pool Nation, we want to educate, right, our fellow brothers and sisters out there in the pool industry, and then we want to highlight them as well. And any way we can find a way to give back to them, and that's what we try to do. I've had a few people ask, "Well, hey, how do you guys keep coming up with the stuff? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" And it's simple. We started the Pool Nation Award, which we've done now, 4 years now? Has it been 4 years?
4 years, yeah.
4 years, right? And we highlighted, and it was for the pool pros, by the pool pros, and we had our Pool Guy of the Year and our Pool Girl of the Year, which was a huge success. And but there was a certain part of our industry that isn't necessarily being highlighted as well as we believe they should be. And you can go on Instagram or you can go on social media or whatever, and you see all the pretty pools and all these builds and all this stuff, but the people kind of behind it and the things that are being done aren't necessarily being as highlighted as they should. So we said, hey, there's another whole sector to being a pool professional out there, and you can be the best chemist and you might be able to service pools very, very well, but there's another component to it that isn't necessarily being shown. So we said, hey, let's come up with a championship to where we can highlight these pool pros out here. A lot of these guys and gals don't necessarily have their own businesses, and they're out there doing the work themselves. They work for larger companies, and they might not have the opportunity to be able to go out and do these types of things. So we said, hey, look, let's create this competition to where we can take some of the best in the world and highlight their skills. And this is what we came up with. And it so far has been, we've had quite the reception for it. And I can't say how this is one of the, we do a lot of things, but this thing I'm very, very excited about, and I'm looking forward to seeing everybody come out there and show their skills. The $10,000 is just a little bit of a thank you. It's us saying, hey, look, we're blessed in a position to where we have some amazing visionary partners and other companies that are willing to step up and give back to the pool pros. So this is going to be a fun event. Guys, don't procrastinate because it is filling up very, very quick. So make sure you get online and you register and you get out there and show us your stuff in Vegas.
Absolutely. So get out there, show up, register, go to poolnation.com. There's a Pool Nation Championship button. Click on it, register. Robbie was saying that he was going to sign up because he was like, man, I could use 10 grand.
I'm definitely going to be at the 101 course, not the 201 course. I need to be at the bottom. So I know enough to get myself hurt.
Small.
That's about it.
Yeah,
so.
that's it, baby.
But no, I think it's really great you guys are doing that. I know I want to get out and tell as many people to get signed up because, even if I'm self-employed by myself or I've got a company with 50 employees, what an incentive to send your employee or yourself. I mean, that's 10 grand.
Yeah.
Right? Why not? They get better at what they do. They learn the right way to do things and could never know could win.
Yeah.
So it's huge.
A little healthy competition.
And there's going to be some
always
big
fun.
There's going to be some big bragging rights because it's going to be the very first one. They're going to have a big, huge championship belt, rings, 10 grand, right? So we're going to have a podcast with them on the cover of the magazine. We're all out. So anyways.
A big deal.
Yes. So Coastal Cactus, by the way, is saying you'll lose more than just points in the real world if you don't follow the manufacturer guidelines. So yes, true that. And our boy Ed out NOLA Pools cares. Big shout out to you, brother. He's out in actually Louisiana, kind of out in your guys' territory out there. So anyways, all right, guys, let's get this party started. Shay, I'm going to start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Shay Parker, and I work for the illustrious Salinas, which, I have actually been with the company for 34 years. So that doesn't seem possible in some ways, but yet it is. So I am the regional manager for the Southeast in the dealer direct product line of chemicals that we carry. So we have brands that you may be familiar with, like Pool Life, Aquasil, Serona for Spa, and our company Salinas is I think that Robbie's got a little bit of a intel about the company, but overall we do water treatment for different different segments, including industrial, commercial, and then we get into the pool side of it, which is, a lot of residential, a lot of commercial applications as well. So about me, I am, in addition to being a regional manager for Solenis, I'm a mom. I've got 2 kids. I have 2 grandchildren. I live in Southeast Tennessee, so that's where this deep Southern accent is coming from. Hopefully everybody out there can understand me. But just really happy to be here and support this. And hopefully we can bring something to the table here and talk about Cal-Hypo, which is a potentially underutilized chemistry by a lot of service techs out there. So we hope to inform everybody of what a great product we have.
Great.
Robbie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got here today?
Well, I got here today because Shay voluntold me. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm his boss.
Yes.
Wait, the whole time you never said that yesterday.
Well, it's very new. Only like what, 3 weeks in.
3 weeks in.
Hey, when you work at the family oriented kind of like we do, we're a family. But yes,
we're peers.
But actually, just very honored. When it came up, I just was all about it, and I honestly didn't know as much about Pool Nation as near as I do now from the last 3 weeks. But what you guys are doing, like I just said about the Pool Pro Challenge, is just huge. It's awesome. It's what our industry needs. So very honored to be here. And again, we had a great day in the studio yesterday. Super cool. Nobody in the crowd, had any questions. It was very silent because it was just us and the camera. And Edgar, he didn't ask any questions. But no, as Shay said, been with Solenis not near as long as 34 years, but about 6 years with the company. But love the family that I work with, the group in the Southeast here. Personally, I'm a father of 2, so I got a wonderful wife at home, and I've got one in college and one going to high school next year that just got registered on Wednesday. So very active, very love sports. My son's played every basketball game he could ever get his hands on. I tried to coach everyone that I could until he told me not to. So then I just started refereeing so I could be on the court with him. But just do anything active. Love outside, love being in pools. That's really all I've ever done is some type of swimming pool. Started in working through high school, just on the side for a friend of mine's company, and just it propelled from there. And so love what I do, love my customers. I've been in the Southeast for 16 years on the road, and so just love what I do and love being in the South. And again, I'm from Tennessee, as Shay is as well, so I know y'all will be like, good grief. These country
We're throwing out all the y'all.
Yes.
All y'all.
All the y'all.
It's like, there's 2 things about me. It's like when I walk in a room, it's first of all, it's not, hey, where are you from? It's where are you from the South?
Yeah.
Or what part of the South?
What part of Tennessee are you from?
And then it's this wonderful, and I call it the coaching voice, which is the raspy voice, which means I cannot walk in a room. Someone will walk up and be like, man, I heard you 10 minutes ago. I'm like, how? They're like, no one has a voice that raspy, awful, whatever you want to call it. So.
I could just imagine, Zach. Can you imagine him coaching your kids and yelling at them with that raspy voice? I'd just be like, you know what? We need to rethink this sport thing for you.
Oh, yeah. He gets down and
I'm
dirty,
sure you're
too.
scary, yeah. Couple bad words and...
I mean, passionate runs in my blood. It's on a basketball court or in the sales field. I'm passionate about everything.
We're both lifers in the pool industry.
Which I do have to tell you, Zach and John, it was so awesome speaking to Shay because we get to talk to a lot of people, but you don't have a lot of people that are lifers anymore, right? Like that just doesn't exist. Yeah. And yesterday when we were having dinner and you're talking about, I mean, just how Cal-Hypo is made and, the machines and the times, before COVID and after COVID and when you started. And that's when I start to geek out because I really love going, 20, 30 years ago that we know nothing about the industry and kind of how it's changed. The amount of information that you have in that head and how you can spit it out so quickly is just absolutely amazing.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
It's painful. It's hard to hold it all in there.
And then just the plant itself, like when you go there and see all the local people there in Southeast Tennessee that they've been there for 20, 25 plus 30 years. I mean,
well, and I actually live 10 minutes from our manufacturing facility.
Mm-hmm.
Started at 19 years old. My dad worked for the company. And in our area, it's a major manufacturer still. So there's still a lot of provides a lot of jobs. And, we used to say we eat, breathe, and literally smelled chlorine. Like that means money.
Yeah.
So Shay, you kind of went into it a little bit in your introduction about Solenis as a company, but can you go a little bit more into detail and who exactly they are and what they do for our industry and the pool industry in specific?
Yeah, it is a global company, and we're part of a private equity group called Platinum Equity, which is the formal owner of Solenis. Robbie's got we have is it 17,000 employees worldwide?
Yeah,
Wow.
so we're 130 countries, 17,000 global employees, and really Solenis, we were purchased by Platinum Equity first, and then Solenis was after that, and they kind of rolled us into it because Solenis does so much water treatment.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're industrial water, paper plants, so they're big into the pulp and paper industry. They do janitorial supplies. They work in the hotel, motel industry and hospitality, providing everything, including laundry products. So their chemistry profile is much deeper than pool. It goes into a lot of different areas of water treatment as well as hospitality and industrial applications. They formed a pool solutions division when they bought us, and then we have since acquired Clearon Corporation. Help me out.
you on the pool side, yeah.
We've made a lot of different acquisitions. So we were Segura or Innovative Water Care before Solenis bought us, and then since then we've systematically worked to acquire different companies that were synergistic, and that we could add to our portfolio. So we have both in the Pool Solutions division. We do have dealer direct brands. We go through the distribution channel. We have brands that are sold exclusively into distribution. We do industrial repacking. We export a lot of product overseas for different various applications. And then we have our commercial group, which covers industrial, water treatment, commercial pools. Am I leaving anything out?
No. And that's the thing. I mean, the Solenis is just, it is anything to do with disinfectant. And I think that's where we came in with our Cal-Hypo plant. And then now we also do trichlor and dichlor, but it's anything and all things disinfectant. And that's where we're getting into the hard surface in the hospitality with the disinfectant on the Solenis side. So, if it has to do with water and scaling and towers and you name it, anything to do with water.
Antimicrobial,
we want to be part of it.
Killing microorganisms. But we do have a full portfolio of products. So, we're here to talk about Cal-Hypo, but we cover all the bases. We have all of our pool maintenance products, algicides, balancers. All of our brands are full brands. We just happen to own a calcium hypochlorite manufacturing facility as well as a trichlor plant. And we also do PHMB. So we're primary in all three EPA registered chemistries.
So, and I know we just went down the big rabbit hole of Solenis there, but it's so huge. We're such a small portion of it, but man, they love us. They believe in the Pool Solutions division and are backing us like crazy. So sky's the limit. We're going to keep going. To your question, kind of nobody would know the name Solenis, right? When you walk into a distributor, you walk into a Pool Pro and go, "Hey man, you ever heard of Solenis?" They're going to be like, nope. But if you say, "Hey, you ever bought a GLB brand product?" You're like, "Oh, heck yeah, I have." Or Pool Breeze brand or anything like that.
Turbo Shock. We have some recognizable chemistries. Aquacil is also another one that has been a brand of ours for 50, 60 years. So we got it covered. We do a lot of equipment too. We do feeders on the Cal-Hypo side, especially in the commercial market. We have our Pulsar brand. We have CCH, Tritech. Those are all recognizable brands, especially in the commercial part of the industry.
Right. I didn't know that you guys were that big. I'll be honest with you. I'll be the first one to, just like John was saying, probably won't know, but I'll be honest with you. I didn't know that your company was that big. That's amazing.
Just keep getting bigger.
Yeah. So let's do a deep dive. Let's kind of start step number one for everybody that's listening, because this is kind of an educational podcast, and we really want to do a deep dive into Cal-Hypo. So for those that are listening, what is Cal-Hypo?
Well, I'll take that one. Basically, if you have calcium chloride, which is the raw material, another word for that, or in layman's terms for calcium chloride, is lime. So basically, we take a chlorinated solution, heavily chlorinated solution, and mix it with lime, just to keep it super simplistic. And that creates a slurry or a paste that is heavily chlorinated. And then it's basically dehydrated from there. It runs through a series of dryers that make a chlorinated paste or a dry powdered material. And then they run it through granulators. It shakes it up and reduces the particle size down. From there, we separate it out into, we may have material that's suitable for industrial applications that's a little more coarse. And then we have material that's for residential applications that's our finest grade of material. So it's graded out from there and packaged in containers for retail sale for granular pool chlorine. So it's considered a dry bleaching powder. And if you go back into like the history of it that, we talked about on our, for our training yesterday, it goes way back to the 1700s. Was it, Robbie, like 1789 or 98?
I know you're going to put me on the spot. 1796, we'll say.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was discovered that you could make this lime and chlorine solution and hydrate it down, dehydrate it, and make a bleaching powder. It was discovered way back then, and it was started to be used for various different disinfecting applications. Before that, they had only had like liquid bleach. So this makes a more stable form that is stronger in available chlorine. What you wind up with is anywhere from a 65 to we patented a 78% available chlorine that only we manufacture. So you get quite a strong concentration, and you can put it into a small package. So we do a lot of 1 pound bags, and we do a lot of bulk packaging, anywhere from 5 pound containers all the way up to 100 pound drums. And, for industrial applications, we even do super sacks of the product. But from there, we can take that granular product and we can compress it into briquettes that are used in feeders for our commercial market. And we can also do slow dissolve calcium hypochlorite tablets, which are very much like a 3-inch tablet. It's a compact, usually they're octagon or D-shaped, depending on the feeding equipment. And those are very hard, compact tablets that are going to last as long as a 3-inch chlorinating tablet would if you put them in a skimmer or a feeder application. You're looking at a 5 to 7 day dissolve rate.
Gotcha.
So you said it's been around since like the 1700s or late 1700s. When was it first introduced into pools?
Into pools, it started being used about 1910, according to my AI search that I did yesterday. It was used in about 1910. I think it was like Brown University. They started using it to treat the pool in that university, because pools have been around for a long time. So prior to that, pools were kept clean mainly through filtration and circulation. And there wasn't a form of sanitizer that was added to the water. Of course, having a form of sanitizer or chlorine present in the water takes care of all of your microbial load, your chlorine demand. It's necessary, as we know now. But back then, they were just able to keep the water clear. So through the use of it began with the bleaching powder with calcium hypochlorite and other, available forms of chlorine at that time, which they may have had sodium hypo. I'm not 100% sure. But we didn't have like trichlor come into play to stabilize pool chlorine levels until the early 1900s. I think it was, I did not look this up on AI, but I believe, it's only 50 or 60 years ago that that product was developed and came into the market. Before that, it was all cal hypo and sodium hypochlorite for pool chlorination.
Yeah, that's interesting. The other thing that was interesting, what was it, Robbie? It was used to treat
wounds in World War I.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I mean it's like 1910. It hit a pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, fun fact was at 1914 and 1918 time they were using it to disinfect wounds and treat soldiers in World War I.
Yeah, for triage and also just for potable water. Prior to having anything else, we started disinfecting and cleaning water. So you're looking at the control, chlorine in general. It was either gas chlorine, sodium hypochlorite, and then later on we were looking at calcium hypochlorite used to treat and disinfect potable water and wastewater. So those products have had a huge impact worldwide on the cleanliness of water. In fact, anytime there's any kind of disaster or flood that occurs, we get inundated with requests for calcium hypochlorite because it's one of the quickest, fastest, most efficacious ways to treat floodwater, to disinfect wells or cisterns, to treat potable water so that it's safe for drinking. It's used in the chicken industry to clean out chicken processing plants. It's used to disinfect, like if you have kennels, we have a product that is used specifically for cleaning kennels that has calcium hypochlorite chemistry. So it's very widely used for those types of applications, just to make sure that we have clean drinking water. It's even used to, bleach people's houses or roofs. You can make it into a solution that can be used for cleaning applications.
That's pretty crazy. Now, why is it so popular in pools? And, obviously I know different markets are a little bit different, but like an example, Texas out here is all Cal Hypo. Why is it so popular in pools?
That's it. It's like, 1950s and on, it just really started taking off in wastewater and other things, but mainly swimming pools. As Shay said, like back in the day, if you really thought about it, and anybody that's been in this for years and years and life or whatever you want to call it, like everyone had the 100-pound drums sitting by the pool. And that was it. It was, as we said, stabilized forms of chlorine didn't come in until the last 50 years. So you think before that, it was just some CHC, calcium hypochlorite, getting dashed in the pool because everybody knew it as a disinfectant. It was a way to make water safe, no matter what it was. So
and feed.
Yep.
It's strong. You've got the strength of the product, 65 to 78%. One of the visuals that we had yesterday was comparing it to sodium hypochlorite, which is very widely used, especially in the service industry. But you had, I think it was 6 4-pound cases of sodium hypochlorite sitting there, compared to like a 25-pound bucket of granular chlorine, which would be roughly equivalent. So your storage footprint is much, much smaller. You're carrying around a bucket of chlorine versus 6-8 cases of bleach. And bleach, being only at the maximum 12% available chlorine, you get 78% available chlorine with calcium hypochlorite. So you can achieve a very strong chlorine level with a small, a 1-pound application in a 10,000-gallon pool is going to get you up to about 9 to 10 parts per million of available chlorine. So very effective for shocking, very effective for removal of chloramine, for breakpoint chlorination. And that's really why it's become, like, especially for commercial applications and residential pool owners doing that weekly shock treatment, which we recommend. It's a quick, effective, cost-efficient way to shock a pool, and even just to maintain it as a daily sanitizer with no cyanuric acid. Anything else, Robbie?
No,
do all the talking.
I think it's its strength. It's its quick turnaround. People love it, right? You're going to throw it in the water and you see such quick reaction. No matter if you're battling algae, whatever that might be. And again, it's what's such little amount of even 1 pound of that grainer can bring in a ppm level. So when it comes into storage and handling and carrying, purchasing, whatever you want to look at, just very, very efficient.
Yeah.
So I know I don't do commercial pools, but when I talk to people that are doing commercial pools, Cal Hypo is pretty popular. Why is it so common when it comes to commercial pools?
Well, one of the big things is that the work us and other manufacturers have done with commercial pool feeders. We have some amazing technology that can treat very large bodies of water. On the commercial side of our business, our Pulsar feeder, we can go up into the millions of gallons. So we're looking at Olympic-sized pools. And also in the commercial pool market, you have a limit to how much cyanuric acid can be added to a pool. In some cases, it's 0. So you have no choice but to go toward, depending on what your local, state, and federal regulations are that you have to comply with, you have no choice but to go to a non-stabilized form of chlorine. And there are essentially two options for that, which are sodium hypochlorite and calcium hypochlorite. So you can get a much stronger product, smaller footprint. You can get a feeder that is a long-term, slower application, and not have to deal with bleach. Also, there are some safety issues with bleach if you're doing a metered system, and you have lines, you have bleach lines, you have acid lines feeding in. There are incidents where sometimes those mistakenly get crossed or placed into the wrong vessel, and then you can get a chlorine gas cloud. So you eliminate those safety concerns because you're dealing with just a dry product that you can store in your pump room.
And I mean, safety concerns are a huge one, but Shay kind of hit on it, and it's probably a whole multiple podcast in itself is stabilizer in our industry, right? And sulfuric acid. I mean, we could have 10 panelists, 10 different views on it, but I think, CDC, Health Aquatic Code, they know, right? High stabilizer is going to slow kill rates down of bacteria. So there is states that have absolutely zero. Like they do not allow it at all. Others have minimums of 20, 50, sometimes we're dinged at 80, but I think it's it. We've always made a joke. If residential pools could get regulated the way commercial does, man, we'd sell a whole lot more Cal Hypo because they know, and that's where Cal Hypo is so successful in commercials because they understand they cannot have bacteria in their bodies of water that they're mandated and they're watching over. Yeah. So that's why 100% why Cal Hypo is so prevalent in the commercial world is really to tie with that stabilizer because we are the unstabilized form.
Even just 10 parts per million of citric acid can reduce your kill rate down for potential pathogens by as much as 7 times. It takes 7 times more chlorine to produce the same effect, to be able to kill microscopic pathogenic organisms.
Right.
And that's only at 10 parts per million, and it gets exponentially more of an impact once you go higher than that. So some of our residential pools, we're testing in at 150, 200 parts per million of calcium. I keep hitting this mic. I'm sorry. I talk with my hands. But yeah, once you get up into that level, it basically, you're looking at chlorine lock and a very dramatic impact on the ability for that sanitizer to do its function, which is to destroy harmful microorganisms.
So let me ask you this. So how does Cal Hypo work as a sanitizer?
How it works? Okay, so anytime you add any form of chlorine, chlorine it's basically a misnomer. If you're talking about calcium hypochlorite, trichlor, dichlor, they're all chlorinated sanitizers. So in different forms, in different chemical compositions, but they all basically work the same way. When you add a chlorinated sanitizer to water, it breaks down into hypochlorous acid and hypochlorite ion. Hypochlorous acid is the strong, free available chlorine. That's what kills bacteria. That's what destroys pathogens. So you can either form more or less hypochlorous acid depending on the pH of the pool. Mm-hmm. At lower pH values, you get stronger concentrations of hypochlorous acid. At higher pH values, you get lower concentrations of hypochlorous acid. And that's what we're measuring is free available chlorine. So keeping the pH in the correct range is key, but that's basically how it works. Any chlorinated sanitizer, including your salt systems where you're producing your own form of hypochlorous acid by adding a salt solution to the pool and then running it through an electrolytic cell. It separates the salt into sodium hypochlorite and sodium hydroxide, raises the pH, raises the chlorine level. Mm-hmm. So that's the basic chemistry of it. We're getting hypochlorous acid regardless of the form that we use. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, which form do you use? What are the positives? What are the drawbacks? What's the most economic? What's our best in terms of storage? What's going to deliver the most free available chlorine? And that's kind of how we break it down. What are the other compounds that you may get that come into play? If you're using trichlor or dichlor, you're getting about 50% of each one of those active ingredients, a little over 50, is in the form of cyanuric acid. So if you use TCCA, which is trichlor or dichlor, about half of the weight of those chemistries introduces cyanuric acid to the water. And that can dramatically increase your CYA levels over a short duration of time. If once they get high, like we just kind of addressed, then you start to see a slowdown in the reaction between bacteria and algae. But that's how chlorine works.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it. We'll do a deep dive. Let's do this. Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. When we come back, we will continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We continue our conversation with Shay and Robbie, and I continue over here with my 10 grand Zach. You see that?
This guy was making it rain during the break.
Yeah, baby. You should have seen Spider. He was like, just leave it there. I'll just sweep it all up and use it all.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
So I wanted to ask, what is the pH of Cal Hypo?
Well, you're looking. It's on the higher side. So we're about 11.5-ish, 12 on a given range, depending on the percentage of the available chlorine in it as well, from that 65 all the way up to 78. But it's definitely on the higher side. So we'll kind of get into some keys, benefits, and also some cons on it, right? Like, we're not going to tell you Cal Hypo's a fit all, be all. Oh my gosh, it's for every single pool. Shouldn't use anything else. Like, there's definitely some things that we want to address with it as well, but definitely on the higher side.
Yeah, you've got trichlor that's down around 3.4.
Mm-hmm.
Cal Hypo's up around 11, a little over 11, 12. And then your sodium hypochlorite's 12 to 13. It's quite high.
Yeah.
So they all, each one of those chemistries has their different impact on the chlorine in the pool. If you're using that as your primary sanitizer, it's going to, impact your water chemistry.
Yeah.
So essentially we have a different set of like recommendations for water chemistry that we suggest for a pool that's operated strictly on calcium hypochlorite. We would go more toward the lower end of LSI and try to keep, that's Langmuir's saturation index. We'd try to keep that alkalinity 80-ish, around that range, and then your pH 7.4, and then you get just a really nice pool. You see good dissolution, no clouding, etc.
Mr. JJ, you here?
No, I'm here.
Napping.
So let's go over some of the key benefits of using Cal Hypo in pool maintenance.
Huge benefit is, you think about, you got an issue with the pool, right? Like, anything could come up. Let's call it cloudy water. Let's call it the heavy pool party the night before, whatever that might be. Like, what your first thing to mind comes, shock the water, right? Shock the water. Let's hit it with some shock. Let's and hopefully that is Cal Hypo. So, the best thing or the biggest thing is just that quality and the sparkle of the water. Like, that's the number one key benefit. Like, the way it hits the water, and there's a fragment to it. Shay talks way better about the exact way it kind of does when it disinfects the water. There's definitely a look to it that looks different than any kind of any other form of chlorine that's in the water, from trichlor to liquid, or doesn't matter. Like, when calcium hypochlorite gets in that water, the fragment of that water and the sparkle is definitely different. So, that's the number one key benefit. And it's kind of like what we talked about, like in the old days, man. People, that's all you did to treat pools was just scoop here, scoop there, get out every other day. And the thing wasn't, who wants to touch your pool 5 times a week? Service pros aren't. So that's when our Slow Dissolve Cal Hypo tablet was just the win for that. So if you're wanting to use Cal Hypo now, you've got it to where you can still just fill it up in a feeder, floater, skimmer if applicable, and it's going to slowly put that Cal Hypo to fragment that water for you.
If you've got pools that have rising CYA levels, it's a good option just to switch it to, a non-stabilized form of chlorine. And, a lot of people were really unaware that we have a long-lasting tablet. So it's a kind of an easy, okay, you want a long-lasting tablet, you still need that convenience. We have a form, we have feeders, etc. If you're doing, breakpoint chlorination is your objective. Like, you read that you've got a major issue with combined chlorine, or you detect chloramines, you smell them. It's a really convenient form of shock to use to do breakpoint, because a lot of times you get up into the higher dosages. I've done breakpoint chlorinations where it said, hey, you need to add 20 pounds of chlorine. It's a little more difficult to do with some of the other shocks that are available. And it's all readily available, so you don't have, with a dichlor shock, for instance, you would have more of the cyanuric acid and not as much available chlorine going into the pool at one time. When you do a shock, there's according to the EPA, you have to hit it at like a 10 part per million concentration. So it's a really good form to use for breakpoint, weekly shocking, algae elimination. If you've got green algae blooms, mustard algae blooms, etc., hitting it with a couple bags of 78% Cal Hypo is a very effective treatment for algae. Add that shock, brush it, add your algicide, and you're clear.
Now, can you use borates with Cal Hypo?
Absolutely. You're talking about, two borate fans over here.
Love it.
Our pool doesn't get any year without borates putting into it. So absolutely. With the borates in the water, you're suppressing the carbon dioxide in the water, so should stop all plant growth. So then you're just asking that chlorine to do exactly what it's designed to do, which is kill bacteria, right? I mean, technically, dating back, chlorine wasn't out there to fight algae blooms, fight this, fight that, fight oils, this and that. That's why you used to have to shower before you get in that pool, right? And watch out for other contaminants. So when you got borates in that water, it really just the Cal Hypo is able to perform at its highest peak.
Yeah, I think it makes a bulletproof pool. You're looking for something that's algae free. Your borates are going to suppress the algae. You don't need as many balancing chemicals with borate. Keeps a nice water balance. It's a really good combination for sure.
Yeah.
So we talked about some of the benefits, and like you mentioned, like it may not be like a one size fits all approach. What would you say some of the cons are when we're talking about Cal Hypo?
Well, I know one, it's kind of the question we get all the time is man, what's it going to do to my calcium level? Or even we've had it where someone's a full on. I mean, they're shocking. Maybe they're using some monopersulfate, but still some Cal Hypo. But then they've got our slow dissolve tablets sanitizing that water. And in a couple of years, you may see that calcium level get to 350, 450. We've seen it 550. But I guess that would be one of the common misconceptions as we get is I can't have calcium get up to 550, 600.
Yeah.
And we kind of teach them a little bit, but going back to LSI and that you can. And then especially in plaster pools and gunite and concrete, like it's great for it actually.
Yeah.
And the higher it gets. So, look, there's levels, right? If you got, I guess, Arizona-ish, other areas we hear that's coming out 800 out of the tap, well then, yeah, we probably don't need to contribute 500 to that.
A certain part of the country is if you have, much harder water and, they don't want to look at adding anything to that hardness. But a long time ago, one of the scientists that I used to work with when I first started with the company that did a lot of training for me, he would run his pool at 1,500 part per million calcium.
Wow.
And use LSI calculations to determine how low he needed to have his alkalinity and pH values to stay in the balanced range and not get into the scale forming area. And he was able to operate a beautiful, clear pool. And it can be done because, in other areas of the country or parts of the world where we have extremely hard water, they certainly manage around having. So I think it's more of a misconception than it is a deterrent. But it is still, there are people that have that perception like we can't, we're adding too much calcium. And I would argue that, if you're adding sodium hypochlorite, you're adding a lot of salt to the pool. So your TDS increases exponentially when you're adding sodium hypochlorite. When you're adding your stabilized forms of chlorine, you're getting cyanuric acid. There's always something, that is a byproduct from adding a particular chemistry.
Yeah. And we talk about it all the time, right? Like not everything is right for every pool, right? Yeah. And obviously we're talking about somebody 1,500 parts per million on calcium, right? We don't recommend that to the average pool pro that's out there hustling every day doing 50, 60 pools, right? We're talking about more kind of staying within those guidelines. Are there people that could do it and could do the LSI and stuff like that? Absolutely. But an example for me doing 50, 60 pools, trying to do that at that LSI, it's a little bit harder, and you really kind of have to know kind of what you're doing out there. But I do have. Yeah. Go ahead, John.
Well,
Sorry.
No, I just want to add a little bit, and I think this is a good segue, and it brings up. It's a good point to bring this up. And Shay, you touched on this a little bit, and I think we need to really hammer down on this portion of it. There are many tools available to the pool pro in the backyard, and it's our job to understand each and every one of them and how we use them properly, right, for each backyard, because there is no cookie cutter approach where I personally don't believe, and I don't think that there's one solution for every single pool. And like you talked about, there are going to be some drawbacks with anything that you use, right? And you named a few of them, right? If you're going to put dichlor, you're going to get the most of cyanuric acid introduced into your pool with dichlor. If you're going to use trichlor, you're going to get a boatload of cyanuric acid as well. If you're going to put in bleach into a pool, yes, you're going to have some byproducts. You will get a little bit of salt, about a pound of salt per gallon that you put in there, which will contribute to your TDS, but not quite as crazy as some may think. When you add Cal Hypo into a pool, yes, you are going to get some calcium into it. But again, as professionals, and I want everybody listening and for you guys to understand is, there are certain tools, and like we use personally, I use bleach, I use trichlor, I use dichlor, I use Cal Hypo, I use all of the above. And I know when I go into a backyard, there's some pools that might be a little bit higher on the calcium scale that maybe we don't use that, or we're not ready, or not set up for a drain, or whatever it may be, and we use a different form of sanitation. We have a ton of pools that we've extended, and I've been a proponent of this, especially when you guys came out with your slow dissolve tablets. Is the whole CYA thing that people talk about? It is a necessary evil, if you want to look at it, or a necessary component in our pools. Mm-hmm. And cyanuric acid needs to be there in order to protect it, especially when the pool's outdoors, right? You have to have it. Something needs to protect it. Otherwise, you're just going to be going through a boatload of chlorine, and it's going to be hard to maintain any form of free chlorine in the pool. But what happens is, once it does get up to a certain point, we need to start thinking and looking at different ways to lower it, right? Because we can't allow it to get so high. So what you can do, and what we use as a practice, is like on some of our pools, as they start to rise or get higher in CYA, instead of immediately going to dump the water or to dilute it, because it's even though there's ways you can lower CYA in a pool without having to dilute it, it's difficult and not quite as easy as a packet might lead you to believe it is. But you can start using other forms of sanitation, like using Cal Hypo, right, in the meantime, because now you're able to add a little bit of calcium into the pool until you get up to a certain level. Yes, I agree with you. There are some pools that are above 1,000 parts per million of calcium that can be manageable, but they become very hard to manage correctly when they're above there, because you have to drastically change some other metrics for LSI in order to be able to keep a pool within LSI at that level. But it is 100% definitely manageable, and there are pools that are manageable that are over 100 CYA as well, right? So there's give and take for both. But I think what the key is that we understand that there are multiple forms of sanitation out there that you can use when it comes down to disinfecting water, and Cal Hypo is definitely a tool that, not like here in Southern California where I'm at, there are not a lot of people that use Cal Hypo. And it's simply because they just don't understand or don't know how to use it, or it just might not be popular in the market. So
that's true. And I will say this, that, with the calcium increase, it is actually, there is more insoluble calcium in the byproduct that comes out through filtration and backwashing than actually remains in the pool water. So, we have the data that shows that it's a very slow impact. So I just wanted to point that out, because I think it's important. It's not pound for pound. So if you're adding a pound of calcium hypochlorite, you're not getting a pound, you're not getting a half a pound, you're getting a few parts per million per application. So it's a very slow burn on the kind, and you got backwashing. And so we typically, with pools that are either operated, I use it exclusively in my pool, and we have moderately, like we have 200 out of my well in Tennessee, and I never really see an increase in calcium in my pool, and I use it year round. So most of it does come out through filtration. We do have a nominal, by the time you backwash and all that stuff, you don't see a huge impact. Just wanted to point that out, because I think it is still a big misconception. Oh gosh, we get a ton of calcium out of this. And it's just really not the case.
I do have a question, and this came in, is I've heard that if you add Cal Hypo to a liner pool, it will bleach it. Is that true?
Yeah, it's definitely you hate to use the word false, but you kind of do in this situation. or misconception, whatever you want to say, because what could be left at the bottom of that? If somebody took 25 pounds and dumped right in one spot, that's a different, unique situation. But reading directions, broadcasting it like we ask everyone to do on the back of our packaging. No, if there's any byproduct left over, it's going to be that calcium chloride, and it's going to be so minute and so little of a amount that no, it will not and cannot bleach that liner.
Also, it's following label directions, testing the pool. We do recommend that you need to add the product when your pH is in the normal range. So that takes out the bleaching circumstance, because it's a high pH chlorine. Typically, you see bleaching with lower pH chlorines. If they come in contact with a liner and you have a low pH, either in the pool or the chlorine itself has a low pH, that can bleach a liner. So we do, testing with vinyl liners and putting them directly into very heavily chlorinated solution at different pH values. And what you see is liners can bleach at low pHs, 6.4 or lower. If your pH is in the normal range, even if you use, regardless of what sanitizer you use, you won't see bleaching with pHs in normal ranges, even at very high chlorine concentrations, 20 parts per million or higher. It has to do more with the pH because of what we talked about with hypochlorous acid. You get much more, a stronger concentration of HOCl at low pH values. So that's really where liner bleaching kind of may come into play.
Kind of comes in.
And I think it all comes down to exactly kind of what you were saying is, look, Cal Hypo is just a delivery method of adding chlorine into a pool or bleach into a pool, right? It's just one delivery method. No matter what type or form of chlorine that you're using, it is imperative that you add it correctly, right? And that you don't, if you're just, it doesn't matter what you put or what you do, if you're just going to dump 10 pounds of Cal Hypo and it's sitting on the floor, something's going to happen to that liner, right? If you do it with trichlor, it's the same exact thing. You do it with dichlor, the same exact thing. If it's just sitting heavily concentrated and you're not dosing your pool correctly, you are going to get ill effects simply because you're not applying it to manufacturer specs. So when it comes down to, let's say, proper way, and I don't know if we hit on this or not, but let's talk about the proper way of dosing with Cal Hypo, and how shall a pool pro, when they're in the backyard and let's say they need to add a pound or 2 pounds of Cal Hypo into a pool, how do you recommend that they introduce it into that body of water?
Yeah, when you're using the granular form and oxidizing or shocking that water, superchlorinated, we're always going to say never pre-dissolve. We're always going to say broadcast. We're always going to say never down the skimmer. And look, we're going to be real. We know there's some pool pros out there like, man, it don't dissolve. I got a brush. I'm going to throw it in a bucket and pre-dissolve it first. We get that, but from a company standpoint, liability-wise, due to the calcium hypochlorite in nature.
So let's talk about the reason why, right? So why don't you want them dissolving it in a bucket? What happens?
Well, that's safety precaution. Hey, and I know this at 101, right? It's all you take that what if the homeowner mixes chems, right? Or worst case, as water to product, not product to water. And
what was in that bucket?
What was in the bucket prior before? There's just so many what ifs that we're always going to have it broadcast.
Yeah, all of our labels actually have do not pre-dissolve stickers directly on the top. We started doing that maybe 15 years ago because of incidents that occurred. If there's not enough water in the bucket, if somebody puts a very small amount of water and you don't have enough to properly dissolve the amount of chlorine that you've added, then that can get you into trouble with off-gassing. Reactions can occur. Hot. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily get hot, but you do, it's chlorine. Yeah. So if you put it into a bucket where there's not enough water, or maybe that bucket might have had, somebody could change their oil and had remnants of oil or hydrocarbon in there, and that could cause a hazardous reaction. So we've had people, do it in their sink in their house, and then they gas their house, and it's not a safe practice. So we discourage that wholeheartedly. You can broadcast it as long as your pH is in the correct range and your water chemistry is balanced. You shouldn't see any clouding. That's why we always say, don't need as much buffer with Cal Hypo, so you can keep your alkalinity levels down a little lower, and that's going to give you a really nice dissolution. Then if you need to, hit it with a vacuum. If you get anything, it's a shallow pool or whatever, you get anything that goes to the bottom. But definitely the correct method is just broadcast for sure.
And then,
I wanted to ask on that. You mentioned cloudy, and like Edgar said, like here in our Texas market, it's Cal Hypo, and I know sometimes you hit the pool and it does have like a cloudy effect. What is the reason for that, and how do we clear it up or avoid it?
Yep. No, Zach, it's actually just what I was about to say. Is when John said something about the Pool Pro and why and how to add it, like that's a big thing, right? Service companies, you're paid to make sure that pool stays crystal clear. And sometimes we get a customer that says, man, I'd swap from Cal Hypo, right? Because I can't have that pool turning cloudy every time I leave. Maybe it's in late August where water temps up, this and that. But to your question, what normally is the culprit is high pH product going to a high pH pool. And when you put bad on top of bad, if you per se that, or high on top of high, you get that instant cloudiness.
Yeah,
and
or alkalinity as well.
And alkalinity as well. I mean, either one of those. If they're on that higher spectrum, and then you take that 11.5 Cal Hypo and just broadcast it out 2-3 pounds, you get that cloudiness, right? We will not say that. It is not, again, a wonder-all product. There's reasons it may not do this or that. So if you come behind it with a dry acid and try to lower that pH right there in that pool quite quickly, you'll see it start clearing up the water.
Yeah, it's almost always water chemistry related. You got a little too much saturation, and if you really were to take a test of that pool, chances are their LSI is off. At the end of the season, when you get higher temperatures, even though some of your water balance values can look correct, if your temperature is very high, that can throw your LSI into the scale forming range. So you have a little more water saturation, and then when you shock, it doesn't go naturally just into a clear solution. You're going to see some remnants and possibly have some residue on the bottom. It doesn't dissolve as well. So toward the end of the season, when you have higher temperatures, definitely less alkalinity. In my pool, personally, I'm at 60 ppm, 60 to 80. Your range for calcium hypochlorite is 60 to 100. That's your ideal, with 80 really being your sweet spot. I go to 60 because I use exclusively Cal Hypo as my primary sanitizer and my shock. If I were using trichlor along with Cal Hypo, which I sometimes kind of go back and forth just so I can keep a stabilizer level, then I would tend to go a little more toward adding more buffer and having a little higher alkalinity. So that's really what it is. You get any clouding whatsoever, like Robbie said, look at that pH value, you look at your alkalinity, and that's usually where you're having a trouble.
Or you're not evenly distributing it either. So
yeah,
you get a high concentration of pH and you get a high concentration of calcium in solution, right? Then even whatever other calcium's in that water too will fall out of solution. But as it dilutes and as it spreads, it'll all fall back in and the water will return to normal. So
usually it's fine after a few minutes, let it circulate, brush.
Yeah. So I want to ask about best practices for handling and storing Cal Hypo safely. And I think, as John said earlier, we have all these different tools in our toolkit that we can use. And when it comes to treating in the pool, there's special considerations on, each product kind of has a different approach. When it comes to storing and handling, that's often true. And so I want to kind of dig into that part of it so that we better understand, some of the best practices when it comes to this.
Well, for sure. As our chemicals go, calcium hypochlorite is a class 3 oxidizer for your DOT transportation of that product. So it does have some special considerations. That makes it very strong and very effective, which is the upside. Downside is you have to carefully handle this product. It's a hazardous material. Sodium hypochlorite is as well because of its corrosivity. And then you've got, your trichlor and dichlor products are class 2 oxidizers. So all of these products have to be handled kind of with care. But for calcium hypochlorite specifically, you want to make sure that that product stays uncontaminated. You need to store it in a cool, dry, well-ventilated area, away from other materials that it may be incompatible with, including any liquid pool products or other liquid household items. Always just kind of put it in an area where it's safe, clean, dry, temperature controlled. We see a lot of people kind of like putting their buckets out by the pool and they get rained on, and that, not the place to put your Cal Hypo or any other pool chemicals for that matter. So cool, dry, well ventilated. Don't let it get contaminated. Preserve your scoops only for the calcium hypochlorite bucket. Don't put them in there wet. Make sure that they stay pristine, dry. Dip it out of the bucket. Place it in the pool. Put a dry scoop, the same dry scoop, back in the bucket. Secure the lid. Those are just a few things, but on service vehicles, we want to be careful to segregate that product off to itself. I always recommend that people do like a blocking and bracing system in the back of their service truck or van, and either build out, some 2x4 sections that have, open areas that they can safely segregate their product in the back of the truck, because you want it secure. If somebody rams the back of your truck, you want to make sure that bucket doesn't go flying and break open or the lid come off. Keeps liquid separate, any acid products separate from your Cal Hypo products or shock. And then the other thing that comes to mind is the amount of product that you can either store or transport, particularly transport. There are some DOT regulations around Class 3 oxidizers specifically, and just hazardous materials in general. You cannot carry more than 440 pounds of hazardous materials combined in one service vehicle or van, or if you're transporting it from one retail store to the other, your limit is 440 pounds of calcium hypochlorite, unless you want to have shipping papers, have a DOT trained professional driver, and you have to have, what else is there? Let's see. It's training and shipping paper. Oh, yeah. If you get over 1,001 pounds, then you're required to put a placard on the vehicle. So 440 is the limit that you can do and not have to have. Of course, all your personnel need to be trained, but you don't have to have specific DOT training. You don't have to have shipping papers. You don't have to have placards, as long as you stay below 440 pounds of hazmat, which shouldn't be hard to do on a service vehicle. The other rule is, per container, you are not allowed to have a hazardous material that contains more than 66 pounds of a hazardous material, whether it be corrosive or oxidizer or whatever. 66 pounds or 8 gallons of liquid in one container. So carboys of bleach, if they're more than 8 gallons, that's a no-no, unless you have the proper shipping papers, training, etc.
Great. Guys, let's do this. See this? It's already 12:38.
Yeah. We were talking about time yesterday.
It goes too fast.
Yeah.
I love this. We could talk all day.
And it doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
We use that word under. I don't think that was a word we should have used yesterday.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So, hey, guys, let's do this. Let's take our final word from our sponsors. When we come back, want to get some final thoughts.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with reoccurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing needs 100% of the pro's time and comfort in mind. The patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We are talking to Shay. We're talking to Robbie. And yes, I still do have all my cash here. Yeah, I'm going to keep throwing it out there the whole time, right? Spider keeps saying for me to leave it behind, but I don't know.
You need to do like that meme picture, that GIF or GIF or whatever, where the guy's like holding the stacks of money up to like a phone. And that'll be the Edgar version of that.
There you go. So kind of something like that. Well, that's not enough, right? Like that.
Yeah, but it's a big stack.
A bigger stack. So
there you
like
go.
That.
Yeah, there you go.
like the old school cell phone.
Right.
I don't think I can hold all that money like that. I need a big hand like that. So. Anyways, let's get some final thoughts here. Robbie, we normally don't throw people. Let's see how good Robbie is on his toes. So we do something that's kind of final thoughts, which normally I just throw to Zach and John. But
so when you did that, it was just like instant. Oh boy, there it went. Now I'm in the spotlight.
Let's see that coach, in the fourth quarter, down by 10, kind of final thoughts to their team to bring them to victory. Let's see how good you are.
Perfect.
But by the way, this could make or break you, because if you drop the ball, they're going to let you have it. So,
and just like
no pressure,
no pressure. It's out or off the air. Sorry.
We're done.
No, appreciate it. Like, look, today has been amazing. We appreciate the honor to come here just to educate about calcium hypochlorite. Right. John kind of hit on it earlier when he talked about the backyard. There's so many different forms. There's so many different. Everyone that's in this industry understands no pool is alike. Mm-hmm. I don't care what you think, what you say. Like backyard, whatever. They're all going to be different. So there is not a set and forget it type method, right? Mm-hmm. At all. So we're here for education. We're here to make sure that it's a good fit for you. We pride ourselves in calcium hypochlorite, but we also manufacture sodium dichlor, trichlor, you name it. We're here for a good fit. I will say, guys, I mean, if you haven't thought about it, try calcium hypochlorite in all different forms or fashions. We do have feeders, we have floaters, granulated products, slow dissolve, but keep in mind also on the new innovation side, we will have some great automated side of feeding CalHypo to the pool in the near future. So some really cool things on the horizon for it. But again, we're here for education. Please reach out to our company. Shay or I would love to talk to you to just help your business grow.
Absolutely. Love it.
Thank you.
Mr. Zacharias, final thoughts.
I was just thinking on our break, you know, this industry has a lot of products, a lot of different chemicals, equipment, things like that. One of my favorite things is learning like where it came from, you know, the how it's made, where it came from, what the history is behind it. And I'm sitting here and I'm like 1700s. I'm like, what were they doing in the 1700s, you know? And so I love that stuff. And I'm really sorry I missed you guys. And I would have loved to have been a part of those conversations because I'm sure yesterday there were some really geeked out deep dives into a lot of that. And like we were talking about earlier, that's the fun stuff, you know. For some people it might be boring, but for me that's the stuff I love to hear. And I want to thank you guys for coming on here and talking about CalHypo. Like I mentioned earlier, it is really heavy in our market, so I'm pretty familiar with it, but it's always good to get in and do a little bit more deeper dive and bring this information to people that may not fully understand it or the power of it or what it can be used for. So
thank you.
Mr. Flawless, final thoughts.
Yeah, so look, again, I'll echo what Zach said and want to thank you guys for taking the time to come out and do this. Education and safety and getting information out to the pool pros is our number one priority. And, you guys taking the time to fly out and do the videos on the education, come out and do this podcast and help spread the word about, CalHypo, your guys' product and what it can do for the pool pros. I think, we're a very interesting industry, right? And we're very team-based by market. And there are a lot of, and it can be either when it comes to equipment, the type of builder that's there and whatever deal they have with whatever manufacturer, you might only have X amount of product that you're working with. Or if you're in a certain market like Zach's market, where it's primarily dominated by CalHypo for whatever reason, right? That is the preferred choice of sanitizing the pool. Where you come out to like my area, where we're more of a liquid based. If you go back east or whatever, you might be more trichlor based. At the end of the day, though, what's important is that regardless of whatever market you're in as a pool professional, when you're in the backyard, it is your job and your duty to understand everything that's out there, right? And to make the choice, the professional decision of how and what you're going to use and how you're going to chlorinate a pool in the backyard. CalHypo, I personally believe that it is an important tool to have into your tool belt to use. And you're right, Robbie, like you said, it's not a one size fit approach to every single pool in the backyard, but you can use any specific product, and still kind of get away with it. What's important, though, is like if you're in, and what we want to get out to is like if you're out in Southern California, you might not be familiar with CalHypo. What I want to stress out is even though you might not be familiar with it, your client might be, or let's say they go to a pool store and they go grab a bag of CalHypo Shock, right? And they don't necessarily know what you're using, and you might have a trichlor feeder, or you might have a tab feeder in the pool, or they go find the new calcium whatever the tablets that you guys have, and you've been feeding trichlor tabs into a floater into a pool, right? And they want to take it and shove it into it, and they don't understand the ramifications or what some of the downfalls or dangers that are involved with chemicals. And you can make CalHypo the boogeyman, you can make trichlor the boogeyman, you can make sodium hypochlorite, whatever it is. We are dealing with chemicals out here, and it is imperative that we understand how to use them, how to dose them, and the safety behind it. So I want to implore everybody that's listening. We encourage you to get educated about all the products. And if you are going to learn about Cal Hypo or introduce it into your pool, make sure you do your due diligence and you educate yourself, because there are some dangers when using them if you don't use it properly. And that applies to anything that we use in the backyard. One thing I know we didn't really touch on is it reacts very badly with any trichlor or any dichlor. Robbie, Shay, you guys spoke about keeping your cups clean, keeping it separated from other chemicals. Make sure you absolutely do that. If you are switching your pool from a primarily tab fed pool or a trichlor fed pool, do your due diligence and before you switch over to Cal Hypo or vice versa, however it is, not to ever allow those two chemicals to interact with each other, because just recently I think we just saw, and I know this had nothing to do with Cal Hypo, but the dangers of mixing chemicals in a backyard. We lost a pool pro just recently from an explosion from mixing two chemicals they shouldn't have mixed. And we need to do a better job as an industry going out there and educating folks when it comes down to their safety and what they're doing in the backyard. I look forward to listening to the videos that you guys did for us for Poolman University, and I look forward to us working in the future with more guys. I think you, Cal Hypo and Solenis, you guys play a vital role in our industry, and it's important that our professionals out there understand who you guys are and what you have to offer, and how your products can help us do a better job and be more profitable and as a company. So thanks again, guys, for coming out. Next time you come out, let us. I'll be sure to be out there so that we can at least. I don't know if Edgar took you out to have a good dinner out in Texas.
What did I tell you guys? What did I
may have heard you're the foodie, John.
Yeah.
We may have heard that.
So
I gave him
I
the
highly
411,
doubt, and I want to
baby.
apologize. I want to apologize that he probably didn't treat you right when it came out to dinner.
We went to a good
But when
restaurant.
I'm out there, we will
John.
definitely have a what?
John. So oh my God. So we're having dinner last night. I'm telling them, John, if you want an experience, John is the one, right? So listen how this went down. So we went over by the Star, right? And so we went to Mikosina, right? Tex-Mex, right? Which I'm not a fan of Tex-Mex because I'm used to the original, right? But we needed a nice space where we could sit. The weather was beautiful. We sat outside. And we ate, and it was good food, right? So I'm telling them the story, and then Shay at the end says, like the food was good. Yeah, So it was her way of saying, I've had better.
I mean, if we get the chance to eat with you, John, and we don't see 4 appetizers and 2 entrees ordered, I'm going to be a little disappointed because
bro, yes, it is an experience.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So I feel guilty that I let you down because they came out. I take them to eat, and then Shay's like, "It was good food. It was, So all I heard when you said that was John going,
"Yeah,
John,
I should have been there."
John will look at you, right, Zach, and John will go, "This was crap." Like there's no sugarcoating. He'll just be like, yep, this was crap.
Hey, everything has drawbacks. It wasn't a 4-hour meal. So that was definitely a plus.
Just to tell you, I took him to eat some Puerto Rican food because I was so excited to take him and all that kind of stuff. And he's sitting there and he's eating and he's really quiet. Huh, Zach? He was like really quiet.
We're like 2 hours.
We're like, 2 hours. You're so exaggerated, dude.
It was a long way.
It was 45 minutes. And Zach is just sitting there going, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Oh my God. And we finish and I go, John, how was it? And he's trying not to hurt my feelings. And he's like,
It's okay.
I love it.
And then when he got more comfortable, he was like, that was crap.
Oh my gosh.
I enjoy a good meal, but I eat to survive. but with John, we definitely eat for a good time.
Yeah, we eat to hibernate.
Live to
with
eat,
John.
not eat to live.
Yes.
To hibernate.
Yeah, I'm more on Zach's level. I mean, it's food. It'll keep me going for the next couple 6 hours.
Oh no, not with John. With John, we'll have to find you a place to take a nap afterwards. So, I really do want to thank you guys for coming out. I know that you guys are really busy, and just to put the PowerPoint together, and Justin did an amazing job at sending it, and kind of going back and forth, and just staying on top of it, and for you guys to take the time out to come out here. And I know you guys are busy. It's like I joked around because it was like you guys were like constantly, you at 5 o'clock in the morning taking phone calls, you in the truck taking calls, and talking to all your people and all that kind of stuff. And so I understand that it's very difficult, and sometimes it's hard to stop doing what you're doing to kind of come and do this and help try to educate the Pool Pros.
We're so happy to do it. This was really fun, and we just appreciate the opportunity to talk about ourselves and our product and our company. And
yeah, this experience. Amazing. I mean, it's been great. And honestly, John hit it. Education and safety.
Right.
That's our two things that we are key on. Our company is so big on safety, and so are we. But you don't get safety without education.
Yeah.
And so we know that. And so hopefully the future's bright between us all, and we can see more of each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, hey, everybody, we went into the studio. We shot some videos, and we kind of did shoot the one on safety. We could have done, 2 videos is what Robbie was saying afterwards. He's like, that should have been 2 videos. So we can arrange that. We can have you guys come back.
That's right.
There you go. So
only if John's here for dinner.
So anyways, Mr. Spider, thank you so much for everything. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Catch me and John live next week on Instagram Live. We are talking to Cap City. We are talking about our next phase of the Pool Pro. So stay tuned. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or PoolNationPodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at Pool.Nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to PoolInvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.